The Pink Elephant is a storytelling collective which firmly believes that sharing stories helps people in numerous ways. It is a means of forming a strong bond amongst relative strangers. We are an open community and welcome everyone with open arms. As you all know, October is a month of festivities. It is also the Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And this year, we are aiming to run a virtual campaign. We are here to tell a story about Sahayta and showcase the work done by them over the past 2 decades. At the onset, I would like to introduce Mrs. Sharda Ahuja, our senior volunteer. Mrs. Sharda joined the organization in August 1998 as a hospital volunteer. She has also been the editor of our newsletter till 2008 and has contributed immensely in spreading awareness and helping to raise funds for this noble cause. May I request Mrs. Sharda Ahuja to say a few words about Mrs. Tuli, our founder president?
Hello, everyone. Her life was a helping hand for others' needs, sincere and true in heart and mind, beautiful memories left behind. Such great soul was our founder, President Neelu Tuli, who left us this day 14 years back. We fondly remember her today and pray for her eternal peace. My association with Neelu started in 98 when I joined Sahayta as a hospital volunteer. Soon she entrusted the work of annual newsletter to me and we became the best of colleagues. She was a pleasure to work with. I often say Neelu was a special creation of God with abundant energy to fulfill all her responsibilities with complete ease, zeal, and enthusiasm, lively, social, emotional, compassionate, and totally caring as she was. It was Neelu's dogged determination, sheer persistence, and heart full of compassion that made Sahayta a practical reality. Her leadership qualities pulled others to her without questioning. Highly practical and equally ambitious, she dreamt of having a Sahayta center and had it completed and inaugurated only a few days before she left for her heavenly abode after a brief spell of fighting a lost battle with metastatic cancer. Neelu was indeed a legend. In life of mostly froth and bubbles, two things stand out like rocks: kindness in someone else's troubles and courage in your own. Neelu had abundance of both. During the last 6 months of her life, instead of wallowing in grief, she concentrated on Sahayta's future. She made a mission statement that highest tribute to her would be to carry forward her work. We would like to assure Neelu's spirit that we shall continue her mission with earnest dedication and never let the torch that she lighted to extinguish. Thank you. A good response.
Thank you, Sharda ji. Our next speaker for the day is Dr. Mrs. Swatantar Kapoor, a highly educated advocate. Dr. Kapoor, after being awarded her doctorate in English, worked for many years at the DAV College in Sector 10, Chandigarh. After retirement, she started practicing as an advocate at the Punjab and Haryana High Court and joined social service in 1994. She is the founder general secretary of Sahayta, very energetic, active, and dedicated member of the organization. Dr. Swatantra Kapoor will narrate the story of inception and evolution of Sahayta.
Thank you, Pami. Good morning, everyone. I am Mrs. Swatantra Kapoor, wife of Colonel J.L. Kapoor. I joined Sahayta as founder general secretary in 1997. Sahayta Charitable Welfare Society was registered on 23rd May 1997. The day is celebrated every year as Founders Day with our spouses. Dear Renu, our president, was diagnosed with hairy cell leukemia, and we were all distressed and had so many questions. Neelu came across an article in magazine New Woman on Vandana Gupta, a survivor who had started a support group We Care in Bombay. Neelu contacted her, and Vandana traced 3 similar cases in Tata Memorial Hospital who were doing very well. This was our motivation to start a similar support group in Chandigarh because there was a void, there was no one to answer the questions of the patients and their family members. We approached Dr. Subhash Verma, HOD Hematology, because Mr. Tuli's brother, Yogeshwar Tuli, was diagnosed with leukemia a few years back, and he was in constant touch with Mr. Subhash Verma. Mr. Subhash Verma started sending patients to us. But what we wanted a cell in PGI to interact with the patients. For this, we approached Dr. Feroza Patel from Department of Radiotherapy, who arranged an appointment with her husband, who was HOD then, Dr. Sharma. Well, we met him. He was quite skeptical because he thought people come to PGI just for publicity, work for a few months, and then lose interest. However, he graciously gave us a chance, and we rose up to his expectations and proved ourselves. Sahayta's credibility and strength are the volunteers and the work ethics which has been bequeathed to us by dear Renu. At the outset only, all the volunteers were informed that you have to take it very seriously. It's not that some guest is coming or there's another problem in the house. Has to abstain. That person gives a substitute and a volunteer. That's why we go there in groups of 2s or 3s. Radiotherapy gave us a foothold in PGI to expand our outreach to other departments like hematology and APC, and later on in Government Medical College Hospital, Sector 32. Mr. P.H. Vaishnav, Chief Secretary Punjab, who was our mentor and our first life member, described Sahayta as a star NGO and said the rapid success of Sahayta, the strong image it has equation it has posed with the doctors have won for it the admiration was to apply for exemption under ATG because without fund can't run an NGO. Income tax. Visit Sahayta counters in radiotherapy as well as in hematology, APC also. And before granting us the exemption, he verified our activities. And of course, we got the exemption. In 2003, we also got registered under Foreign Contributions Act, which has been renewed from time after thorough scrutiny. That is our credibility amongst donors. In 2003, we also launched our website, 6 help to cancer patients, and international support groups like Cancer Care India and IKIPO, which stands for International Childhood Cancer Parents Organization. In 6, Sahayta Jot Khera, son of our dear volunteer and survivor Gurpreet Khera. Now, the most important part was to look for home for Sahayta. So far, we were operating from Neelu's residence, and monthly meetings, when we were few in number, were held by rotation in volunteers' houses. 8th February 2003, the day of celebration of Survivors' Day in Dairy College 10 by Sahayta, is a memorable day in the life of Sahayta and in our life too. Our chief guest, Mr. Pawan Bansal, then MP from Chandigarh, he sat through the whole program despite his other commitments, and he asked Dr. Sharma, where is their office? He said they operate from home. And in his address at the function, he expressed his amazement that despondency had given way to grit and determination, and announced a grant of rupees 10 lakhs from MP LAD Fund for construction of center to provide holistic help to cancer patients. So the next logical step was to apply for the land, because the fund was only for construction and not for buying the land. We applied for land, and with God's grace, we were allotted 266 square yards of land in Sector 15B. The foundation was laid by then Mayor Anu Chathat on behalf of Mr. Pawan Bansal. Amidst protests by local residents, and ironically, these protests were triggered by a notion that cancer is a contagious disease. Mr. Vaishnav asked me to call the police, and we literally sought help from police. Besides that, the experts there, they addressed the residents, and even Renu Sehgal, who was then chief architect, she also removed their fears and convinced them that cancer is not a contagious disease. Dear Neelu inaugurated the center on 30th September 2006 and breathed her last this very day. 14 years back, on 26th October 2006, after giving Sahayta a home of its own, and most importantly, its work ethics, which are reproduced in our newsletter on the back of the front page. Renu, who had, again by divine design, been relieved on 31st July 2006 as she had retired from that job, Chief Architect Chandigarh, she was unanimously elected President of Sahayta and Mr. Tuli was elected administrator of Sahayta, because Sahayta had a home of its own, and to run it, we needed a committed full-time person. Now, I shall hand over to Renu to continue with the evolution of Sahayta after 2006. Thank you.
Our next speaker, Mrs. Renu Sehgal, President Sahayta, the former Chief Architect of Chandigarh, the city beautiful. She is a cancer survivor herself, who, with her sheer dynamism and vibrancy, has enabled Sahayta to grow with leaps and bounds over the past few years. Mrs. Renu Sehgal will elucidate on the activities of Sahitas.
She said in her last days, "Life is no brief candle for me. It is a sort of splendid torch which I have got hold of for the time being. I want to make it burn brightly as possible before handing it to next generation." Yes, Sahayta's torch shined brightly and brought light in many lives. It was very difficult to pick up the pieces after Neelu. It was a great responsibility to make it burn brighter. And with the help of Almighty, it was a difficult time for me. We all have been able to do it now, burn brighter. And I think it is Sahayta that put me on my feet after Neelu. Since we lost precious lives due to late detection, we paid our emphasis was on awareness and early detection, beside treatment and education help. We started awareness in big ways, especially for breast and cervix cancer. During all these years, we have been doing awareness wherever possible, lectures in schools, colleges, institutions, NCC, kitty parties, with emphasis on self examination, mammography, and early signs of cancer, because early detection is the key to cure. Pink October month was celebrated in 2005 in a, and it was celebrated in 2006 in a big way. In 2008, Sahayta hired a mobile mammography van from Delhi and did 10 camps in the city, which enhanced the awareness for mammography. It was a big success. General Rodericks, the then governor of Chandigarh, on the appeal of Sahayta, sanctioned a mobile van for GMCH 32. And Dr. from Sector 32 were very helpful. Now the van is working on many days outside the hospital, and it goes to various places also. Wife of then Governor Mrs. Rodericks walked with us on Pink October in 2007. Wife of then British High Commissioner and Pink Chain of Hope collected 13 lakhs during a walk just for breast cancer patients, and we spent all in a year. As we thought smoking is the biggest reason for oral cancer, we started a campaign in schools telling students harmful effects of smoking so that they do not even start. Because once they start, it is very difficult to leave. Every year we have declamation contests in schools on harmful effects of tobacco. On World No Tobacco Day, about 100 schools take part. In Chandigarh, Sahayta has a name for its credibility, and we get funds from private donors. We give financial help to patients on World Cancer Day for rehabilitation. We help 20 to 30 patients with 10,000 each to start some work and tide over financial difficulties. Our Survivors Day, we did a shift more on celebration of life than information. Programs of our survivors and children undergoing treatment is a joy to watch. Many people have joined Sahayta after seeing our Survivors Day. 2019, we started Avas Yojana, where we pay for the stay of patients and also childhood cancer भारत दर्शन and international program. We have represented Sahayta in Ireland. Volunteers, supporters, and donors. Thank you.
So next we have Mrs. Aradhana Mittal, a professional counselor for children with special needs. Aradhana is a founder member of Sahayta and is the coordinator for Sahayta Bal Cancer Sahyog. In fact, she is the heart and soul of APC. She will be telling us about the role of Sahayta in the functioning of APC in few lines.
Thank you, Pammi. Good morning, all. I'm Aradhana, and my journey with Sahayta corresponds with my children joining school. I joined Sahayta in 1997, but because my son was a toddler at that time, we were not able to start our work in APC. From 1997 to 1999, I handled the education of orphan children in Balniketan, Panchkula, as part of Sahayta's endeavor to reach out to families suffering from cancer, especially kids of cancer patients. I recall very vividly when late Dr. R.K. Marwaha, pediatric oncologist in PGI, came to know about Sahayta, and he met up with our president, Mrs. Neelu Tuli, whom I very fondly had started calling Neelu Didi. And that was the beginning of our chapter at APC. My son had joined the school by then, and we, that is I, Neelu Didi, Mrs. Dolly Soni, Mrs. Santosh Bhan, Mrs. Sharda Ahuja, and Mrs. Raj Gupta, joined the APC PGI in hope to create a difference in the lives of children battling cancer. Our mentor, Dr. Marwaha, trained us, talked to us about the various aspects of the disease, the protocol of the treatment, the mindset of the parents, the side effects, and all other related aspects. We needed to educate ourselves to be able to empower the parents to fight this battle. Many parents at that time, and some even now, didn't want their children to know that they were suffering from cancer. Hence, the name Sahayta Bal Sahyog, minus the word cancer, was invented to describe the activities we conduct to support parents in fighting cancer. We never invaded the privacy of our young patients and their families. We took baby steps, and since funds were little and our volunteers were very few, we moved on. However, our efforts and support from doctors and donors resulted in our being able to create many platforms to address the various aspects of the disease. Our first and foremost effort was, of course, as has been mentioned before me by my senior volunteers, to provide immediate financial aid to the needy patients. And slowly and gradually, once the funds kept flowing in, it enabled us to reach out to many patients. We noticed that children, when they come in the OPD and they are admitted in wards for long periods of time, they need to be engaged. उन्हें तरह तरह की एक्टिविटीज में बिजी रखने के लिए हमने एक टॉय बैंक शुरू किया. And I remember again that a parent, her name was Mrs. Gagan Toor, she donated the first almirah in the memory of her son, whom she had lost to cancer. नन्हे पेशेंट्स ने हमारे साथ घुल मिलकर खेलना शुरू किया. कभी स्टोरी टेलिंग, कभी आर्ट एंड क्राफ्ट, लूडो, कैरम एंड सो मेनी अदर गेम्स. और हमारा ओपीडी का टाइम ऐसे बीत जाता था कि हमें पता ही नहीं लगता था. Parents were also relaxed to leave their wards in our care. The beauty of childhood is to be cherished, and we strived to keep our young friends happy and positive during their difficult time. The next step was formation of Sahayta Vatsalya Sahyog. I had the opportunity of representing Sahayta at the Childhood Cancer International Meet. It was known as IKIPU then, as Mrs. Sehgal had just mentioned, at Montreal in 1999 itself, the year we started. It was thanks to Dr. R. Kalmalwaha that we were able to understand the needs of the parents too, because they were going through emotional turmoil and a lot of other aspects related to the disease of their child. So, now what does Vatsalya Sahyog comprise of? Vatsalya Sahyog comprises of parents of children suffering from cancer, and it is a platform for interaction, exchange, and support. Doctors, dietitians, social workers, Sahayta volunteers, and people from different aspects of life are a part of it. The endeavor through this platform is to empower the parents to understand the disease and the ways to cope with it. Meditation workshops, nutritional awareness, sibling care, depression, and so many other aspects are discussed. We are able to hold 2 to 3 such meets annually in PGI itself, APC department. Cancer treatment is very prolonged, and often a lot of time is spent in the hospital away from home. We did not want our young survivors to miss out on any festivals, celebrations. So, birthdays in the wards, OPDs, large scale festivities for nearly 100 children at one time and their parents on Diwali Day, Christmas Day, Rakhi, and whatever came along, we organized. And the enthusiasm of the children, participation, their smiles were so rewarding. Whether it was a puppet show, a magic show, or a musical bonanza, or game stalls, it was amazing to see the children forget their disease and pain and enjoy the moment. हमारा एफर्ट ये था और ये है कि बच्चे जो इस गंभीर बीमारी से जूझ रहे हैं उनकी मनस्थिति को समझा जाए and in the process we ourselves learned so much. Their positivity and resilience is amazing. And I must acknowledge at this point that our work would not have been able and would not have been accomplished, whatever we've been able to accomplish, has been because of the support of our pediatric oncologists, Dr. Amita Trehan and Dr. Deepak Bansal. We also touched the sponsorship of school education, which of course our president, Mrs. Renu Sehgal, has already elaborated about. But I would like to add a lot of our cancer survivors who were children at that time when we started, they are with us now pursuing higher studies. Another thing which was most important was their nutritional needs. We had started by distributing almonds, atta biscuits, homemade cakes, and certain other healthy recipes on OPT days in the beginning years. Later, and now, with more funds coming in, and with the dietitian and PGI evaluating the child's nutritional status, we have been able to provide supplements like Protein-X, Pediasure, Peptomen, Lactogen, and others. This has brought about a revolutionary change in the child's status during chemotherapy. Another program for especially which has benefited our children is Sahayta Avas program, about which our president, Mrs. Renu Sehgal, had just elaborated. I would like to start with the story of a little girl, Anjali. She was 4 years old when she was diagnosed with ALL and was one of our first patients. A very young, sweet girl, extremely fond of dancing, always happy. She braved the disease, went into remission. Her mother was an active member of Sahayta Vatsalya Sahyog and inspired many parents to complete the treatment. And just when the things were going fine, the mother passed away. After just a very brief illness, our little Anjali was devastated. But she continued to be positive, studied well, participated in all our functions, was awarded Bal Jeevan Shakti, and is now pursuing a professional engineering course. Kudos to her and many more like her. And Sahayta promises to stand by them always. Thank you.
Thank you, Aradhana. Now, our next speaker, Mrs. Madhu Nagpal, the Vice President of Sahayta. Madhuji has an experience of over 15 years as a teacher and joined us in 2008. She is one of the most enthusiastic and dedicated volunteers of our team. She will tell us about the role of Sahayta in hospitals. Madhu ma'am, bolo.
Good morning. I'm one. After my husband's retirement from Air Force, we decided to settle in Chandigarh. I wanted to lead an active, meaningful, purposeful life. I happened to meet Sahayta of the Survivors' Day function. I was deeply touched by the field of cancer. This was something I was looking for. Sahayta is an emotional, financial, and awareness support group. Our aim is to spread that diagnosis of cancer is not the end of the road. कैंसर के साथ भी जिया जा सकता है और कैंसर के बाद भी जिया जा सकता है. Keeping this in mind, our hospital volunteers attend cancer clinics in PGI, radiotherapy department, oncology, APC, Government Hospital Sector 32. We sponsor the treatment of needy cancer patients who are referred to us by doctors and act as a bridge between the patient and the doctor. One needs courage to sit in a cancer OPD and experience the emotions, helplessness, hope. But the best experience for us is to see the relief on a relative's face when doctors tells them they will get instant help from Sahayta Fund. डॉक्टर हमारे पास लेकर आते हैं, रोग और इलाज के बारे में जानकारी देते हैं. हम उन्हें सहायता नंबर के साथ एक स्लिप देते हैं जिस पर डॉक्टर दवाई लिखते हैं. उस स्लिप द्वारा हमारे असाइन केमिस्ट से उन्हें दवाई मिल जाती है. नेक्स्ट साइकिल के लिए ब्लड टेस्ट के बाद पेशेंट डायरेक्टली हमारे पास आते हैं और when we, as a hospital volunteer, doctors educate us about the do's and don'ts which we need to follow. While speaking with the patient and their family judgment, we listen to them. Our intent to instill confidence, hope, and courage in the and the family. As a hospital volunteer, we don't give any medical advice. We spread awareness through information, leaflets, and brochures. These are given to the patients sitting in the RT department. We spread awareness regarding symptoms, diagnostic tests, and treatment of various type of cancer. यहाँ मैं एक छोटा सा इंसिडेंट नरेट करना चाहूंगी. शिखा क्लास 12 स्टूडेंट यूपी के एक शहर से पीजीआई इलाज कराने आए. उसे बोन कैंसर था। कैंसर फैल चुका था। इलाज था लेग को एम्पुटेट करना। शिखा इस बात को किसी भी तरह से स्वीकार नहीं कर पा रही थी। हमारे लिए भी उसे इस बात को तैयार करना बहुत मुश्किल हो रहा था, पर हमने हिम्मत नहीं हारी। शिखा को भी समझ आ गया कि यह इलाज आवश्यक है। इलाज के बाद सहायता ने उसकी आर्टिफिशियल लेग लगवाई। आर्टिफिशियल लेग लगने के बाद जब वह हमसे मिलने आई तो वो एक नई फुल ऑफ कॉन्फिडेंस। शिखा की तरह कई केस हमारे पास आते हैं। एक तरफ बीमारी, एक तरफ गरीबी और परिवार की जिम्मेवारी, पर हम वॉलंटियर्स अपने आप को बहुत ही स्ट्रांग रखते हैं। While treatment never give any assurance, आप इलाज करवाओ, आपको आराम मिलेगा, और जितना जल्दी इलाज करवाओगे उतना ही इलाज आसान हो जाएगा। Whatever help we are doing in the form of treatment, education for the children, or one-time help, we should not hurt their self-respect. उनके आत्मसम्मान को कभी भी ठेस नहीं पहुंचानी चाहिए। We also have professional psychologists visit patients in their homes to have a heart-to-heart talk. According to Dr. Nirmala Chaudhary, the burden of cancer is not borne by the patient alone. It affects the entire family. Thus, home counseling becomes an essential part of holistic care of patients and their families. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madhu ma'am. Last but not the least, our speaker is Mr. Ajay Tuli ji, who once flew aeroplanes in the Indian Air Force, graduated to become a successful businessman. He was in the carpet manufacturing business for over 2 decades until he joined Sahayta after Neelu ji's demise. And presently, he is our administrator. He will tell us more about the administrative aspects of Sahayta.
Hi, good afternoon. I lost Neelu on this very day, that is in October 26th, and was put on this chair of as an administrator on 29th of October in 2006. My job is like a housewife, to look after every small little thing and take action accordingly. Administration is backbone of any organization, and so is the case with us. I start my day in office at 9 a.m. sharp, as I believe in punctuality and also transparency. First job of mine is to check the upkeep of the building and surroundings and our small little garden. Then I see the duty roster of hospital volunteers and instruct the driver to pick them from their houses in our vehicle and drop them at the hospital. Check the mail on net and take appropriate action. Then I got to see the bank accounts every day on net and accordingly plan the funding of various projects, few of them like Sahayta, Awas, and Vidya Jyoti, etc., where we have to make a cash payment. Basically, to give backup to the organization, smooth running, all types of logistics provided. So you have enough stock of pamphlets, forms, etc., which are required for daily running by the volunteers. Donations also is the main source of income to get the organization going, inflow to be strictly monitored. also to take care of all returns which are to be sent to various government organizations like Income Tax Department, FCRA, to Home Ministry, New Delhi. Strict maintenance and check on receipt books is also required and it is mandatory. Various bill payments with special mention to medicine bills, you have to keep a track of them. Any billing above 10,000 for a patient is to be monitored by the administrator. Have to take care of various functions organized by the NGO. Proper funding and supply of logistics is done by us. Pink October, Survivors Day, these are big functions. Our volunteers, they attend various conferences in India and abroad at their own expense. Proper documentation in any organization of all expenses on projects is to be monitored. All donation boxes from where we get the donations are kept in various shops, institutions, are to be checked and monitored regularly. Lastly, I will say almost everything, starting from upkeep of building, inventory, logistics, maintaining of accounts, taking care of all the accounts is done by the administrator. Thank you very much.
I thank all these speakers for today afternoon, today morning. And I also extend a very big thank you to the organizers of Pink Elephant, Arjun Singh Lakhari and Nidhan Singh Johal. Tune in tomorrow at a given time to know about the various activities, initiatives taken by Sahayta during the pandemic. Thank you so much.
Thank you.